Morning. Hey, are you hopping on to ask a question really early, or you just really early?
I'm just really early.
Okay. No worries. You can definitely come on early. Class won't start for probably another 12 minutes. So we can just minimize this unless you have any questions. And
Here.
okay. Morning. I'm gonna admit everyone. There we go. All right, so I did make that Spotify playlist with the recommendations that you guys sent me for music. And I listened to some of them and I was like, whoa, these are really good. I'm impressed. So I think next class I'll start with that because I do not have it up right now. I've been answering a ton of emails for the past hour. That's how crazy teaching online is. Okay. And I know that we've been doing the attendance survey, but that seems to be a bit clunky and kind of annoying to have to do every day. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take like a screenshot of the list of participants on the right-hand side. It literally just has your names listed there and your little icon, so that I have like a list of everyone who's here each day. So I think that's what I'll end up doing after I think everyone gets in here because we have 26 people in the Zoom meeting right now. And we have, let me go to this period for graphic design. We have 34 who are supposed to be in the class, which I know it's almost 10 o'clock. People are probably still sleeping. But yeah, we do have quite a few people, and it looks like everyone's photos are on there too, which is good. Yeah, we're missing a few people. Okay. So hopefully you all are doing well. I totally did not put our syllabus up on Canvas. I've been working on redoing the lesson plans. So I am going to get the syllabus up to Canvas today or tomorrow for you. But essentially, the syllabus is just talking about my grading policy, those kinds of things, which have you guys heard about how the grading policy and late work works? Thumbs up if you have. Okay, so in general, how it works is you actually get more time to turn stuff in. And so I do have due dates for assignments. However, the admin has said that we should be accepting late work because, you know, some people might have jobs or siblings that they have to take care of, which I totally respect and understand. However, if there are multiple people who turn all of their work in for the quarter, like a day before the end of the quarter itself, that's a lot of stuff for me to grade. So just be aware that yes, your teachers will be able to accept late work. However, there will be cutoff points. So don't think that you can just like wait till the end of the quarter to turn stuff in. I actually had a senior do that to me one year where it was so like, it was like, I'm not one of those people that ever really get mad, but it was at the end of photography and he was a senior and I don't think he needed the class to graduate because it was an elective, but it was the day before finals and he there's Indigo. And he was like, so, yeah, I didn't even start my final project. And I was like, you didn't start your final project? You know, we started that like 3 weeks ago. And he's like, yeah, can I get an extension on that? And I'm like, no, because next week is finals week. Like, you're only with me one more period. And it takes a couple weeks to do the project. And he's like, so you're saying I don't get an extension? And I'm like, no. And he gave me like the dirtiest look. And I was like, I don't know why that is like a surprise or me being mean. But yeah, I've had that happen a few times where people just like turn everything in. Not in his case, it was just the final at like the very last minute. And I'm just like, you know, I'm not going to grade all that, right? Like, it's like, there's no way I can grade that in time for your grades to be in. So that was a really long story. Sorry. But I just wanted to let you know about that just because it is in most of the classes, but there will be cutoff points for late work, just so you know. The other thing that I was going to mention is since this course, it used to be articulated with a community college, and all that means is that you get college credit for it. Since I cannot teach you all how to use Illustrator and the software that we normally use, we are not articulated this quarter. I almost said semester. So you won't be able to get college credit in any of my classes, actually. So that's why we're doing proficiency-based grading rather than points-based, which is what I normally do. So yes, this is proficiency-based on a 1 through 4 scale. However, I'm not really changing my curriculum at all. You're still going to be learning the same content that you would be learning in a college level course. But the only thing is that we probably won't be able to use Illustrator, unfortunately. I tested out that software so that you could connect to it remotely from your computers, and it crashed on me, and it was so slow. Like I would move my mouse a little bit and I'd have my mouse all the way over here, but the mouse on the screen was still like, eh, eh, eh. So I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna make kids do that. Like that would be so annoying. You would hate my class. So I'm still working on that, still trying to figure something out, but we may not get around to learning Illustrator, which is totally fine. Graphic designers have been doing this for forever without Illustrator. So just updating you all. Any questions for me? Okay, you can always put it in the chat box if you don't want to unmute yourself. I am going to take a screenshot really quick of our list of people who are here on the right-hand side. I'm not taking a screenshot of you, just so you know. Also, because I do record the Zoom sessions, I just wanted to let you all know that all of those Zoom sessions I do have to put up on YouTube, but they're private. So the only time you could ever view those is if you're in this class. That's the only way you can get access to that. Yeah, and so if you miss a class, like say you have to leave or do something where you can't have access to internet, you can always go back on the calendar to the day before and click on there, and there is the link to the YouTube video showing what we did in class. So I just want to let everyone know that in case, you know, you have to work or something. Okay, so now I'm going to get into class. I'm going to share my screen really quick with you. This class period today isn't going to be a long class period because, like I said, we're going to have a unique schedule with graphic design. Typically what I do is I will do an activity and I will demonstrate what I want you to do. So I'll show you how I want you to draw something or how to do an activity. And then I give you the class period to do it. And typically what I do is I walk around class and I help people. So for what we're doing with Zoom, how I'm going to do it is I'm going to give you the assignment or activity and the directions, and then I will close Zoom so that you can go work in your room or wherever you are independently. And then I open that same link back up. So if you do have a question, you can just hop back onto Zoom with me and ask me any questions. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So I am going to share my screen and then I'm going to do a demonstration on the whiteboard for you so you can see what I'm talking about for our activity today. And then I'll let you guys go and do your work. Okay, so let me share my screen. It would help if I actually got up the presentation. Okay, share. There we go. All right, so we ended last class talking about the elements and principles of design, and I did not talk about color, value, space, and size. And so I wanted to talk about those really quick so that you all could make examples of these in your notes. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have you write these down on your notes if you haven't already, the notes that we took from last class. And I'm gonna go to the whiteboard. I really didn't think I'd be using the whiteboard over Zoom, but here we go. So color, value, space, size. I'm gonna write this down right now, and then I'll switch over so you can see space and size. Which, man, I kind of feel like size is very similar to proportion, but we're just gonna leave it. Okay, I have these blocks in my class that I'm putting this up on. There you go, you can see it. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the sharing of my screen so you can all, hopefully you all can see the board really well. Is the writing in reverse? Or you can read it? Okay, cool. Because in what I'm seeing is that my writing is in reverse. Okay, so color, an example of color would actually be if you don't have any colored pencils or colored markers or anything, you don't have to worry about this. You could literally like make a square and say red. So that is an example of color. When we get to talking about color theory, I will actually update this because color theory is kind of the rules around how do we use color together. I gotta admit, Gracie, there we go. How do we use color together so that they look good? Because there are actual rules around putting colors together. Because if you're anything like me, when I first started, I had no idea that specific colors just like look really bad next to each other. So there are rules around what colors work well. And when we get to that unit, we will talk about color theory and how you can pick colors so that they look good. The other one that kind of goes along with color is value. So value is actually when you have a color and you add light or dark to it. It's, let me make an example. So it's kind of like, on a whiteboard, it's kind of hard to do this, but if you can imagine red going from dark red to really, really light, almost transparent, that is value. That's like the value of a color, is that property of going from really dark, intense to really, really light. And you can use value in color to like emphasize things and to also draw your viewer's eye through a composition. So that would be a good example of value. You could also use like a colored pencil and draw in really, really dark and then go lighter. And that would be a good example of value. You can also do that with your pencil too. Okay, y'all good? Okay, cool. Space. This one, I would argue space and contrast are probably the two most important tools that you can use as a graphic designer. Space is, I personally think, is so critical to making a design or a poster or a magazine layout work well. So whenever I think of space, I think of negative space. I don't know if you guys have ever heard about negative space in art classes or negative space in general. Okay, so whenever I think of space, I think of the negative space or white space on a page between things. So for example, let me actually erase this. So here, and I'm going to refer to DAMMag because I spend so much time in DAMMag that whenever I think of space, I think of like laying things out on a page. So here's a page, and say you're making a poster. When you lay out things like text and image and I don't know, little graphic elements, whatever they are, you need to think about the space that is around those objects. So if I have my title, and my title is up here against the top of the page, that doesn't really like feel physically or aesthetically right. And if I have my pictures up here and then some text all jumbled, that just doesn't feel right, right? Like visually, it just like doesn't work. And you're like, well, duh, Miss Yost, it doesn't work. But when I'm thinking about making a piece work well using space, I need to think about things like this, like the margin, having negative space and not putting anything up against the edge of a paper. Or I have my title, and then I have a picture here, and then I have text here. There's even space. I wish I had another color expo marker, but I don't. So you can see here, there's even space. Let me get a little bit closer. Where those circles are, that is even space between all of the elements that you have on a page. And when I say elements, I mean the title is an element. The picture here is an element. The text is an element. So using space purposefully allows the viewer's eye to be able to go through the composition. So that is one example of space, like when we are designing a layout. But another example of space, and this is just my marketing background coming, is that I bet you didn't know that they use space specifically in logos to psychologically get to you. So let me find an example. FedEx. Let me just pull up the image for this and then share my screen with you, because I love this example. And you can unmute yourself as soon as you see it, but what do you see in the negative space of the FedEx logo? Let me click on the chat. The arrow. Yeah, great job, Taya. Did I say your name right? Taya or Taya. I think it's Taya. But yeah, do you guys see the arrow there? It's right here. That is a clever use of negative space. Let me stop sharing. So when we think of space, space is really important because people get so micro-focused on what we're drawing that they forget that the space around our drawing or the space within the drawing or how we put things on the page is actually as equally important as whatever it is we're designing. So it's important to think about space as well as contrast whenever we're creating something. So you can use the FedEx logo as your example for space if you want to, or just, you know, like a picture with a layout on it. That's totally fine. I'm not gonna have us do anything for size because I feel like proportion is a really good example for that. So are you all okay with me moving on? Okay, I'm gonna go to, and you can go back over the PowerPoint as well so that you can look at that when you are working on finishing your notes. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut out size because we talk about that with proportion. Okay, so the principles of design, we have proportion and pattern. I didn't talk about those last class, and if you missed last class, don't forget you also have to do balance, contrast, emphasis, and movement, and I have those examples up here. But I wanted to talk about proportion and pattern. You know, pattern is pretty self-explanatory, but proportion, sometimes it's hard for people to wrap their minds around that. So let me stop share for my, there we go. So proportion and pattern. What's so funny is that when I learned graphic design, we went over all of these basic elements and I was like, man, I was really expecting to learn something exciting, and proportion, pattern, balance, emphasis, that's not exciting. But when we go to analyze really great graphic designers' work, you'll notice that their work is actually really simple, and they use these rules and they use these elements and principles pretty consistently, and they don't overcomplicate their work, which is what makes them so good, is that they're clear at communicating something visually by using these. And so I don't want us to think, oh, this is just something at the beginning that we kind of learn and isn't important. No, this is like probably the most important stuff, because it's the literal building blocks for making good design. So that I just wanted to throw that in there, because I know this can be kind of boring to learn, because drawing is way more fun. So proportion is just using design elements to show that there's some kind of difference in size. So for example, say you have a really, really big square and a really tiny square. It's important to have them next to each other so that you can show your viewer, hey, there's a difference in size here. And that does show proportion. I don't want to get too into that because there's a lot more that we can go into when it comes to proportion. I just want to like leave it there for you. And then pattern is any reoccurring element. This could even be color. So like, say you have a really boring design, but the only thing that happens over and over again is color. That would be kind of like an example of pattern. But in our case, it could be something as simple as drawing the same line over and over and over again, or drawing the same shapes over and over. Or you could have more of a complex pattern where you have like XO line, XO line, and then heart, square, heart, square, heart, square, and just repeat that over and over again. That would be considered a pattern. There are some designers, and I'll show you an example, that actually do really complex patterns using Illustrator. Let me find it. And because when we think of pattern, we think of, you know, what I just drew, but you can actually make some really awesome patterns using the design software that we have. I mean, if you were able to use it. So here's some really good examples of pattern. And how this works is you create a design in Illustrator, and then you just tell Illustrator, hey, repeat this over and over again for you. And you can create some really awesome patterns. And I love this because Illustrator does all the hard work for you. You just design something and it will repeat it over and over and over for you. So these are good examples of pattern. Very, very complex. For example, right here, this is a very simple design, but you could copy this over and over again in Illustrator and make a really complex looking pattern. So that's what I said, like, you don't have to be a crazy graphic designer or artist to make something that looks cool. This person literally made a square, put 3 lines, and then a few arcs in there. And then you repeat that over and over again, and you look like you're a graphic design pro. Like, that's what I mean when I say you just have to use the basic elements over and over again, and you can make some really great designs. Okay, let me stop sharing. Okay, so that is one of the assignments that I have for you, is to make sure that you make examples of the elements and principles of design, and you'll take a photo of it. A lot of you have already done this, which is great. And you'll take a photo of it and upload it to that assignment. So any questions about that? Okay. If you do have questions about like how to upload or save your assignment and it's not working, always email me and I can help fix that for you. Okay, so now I'm gonna go on to the other component that we have in the calendar. We don't have a lot today, just because I want you to have time to draw. Man, I have so many things on my calendar. Okay, we're graphic design 1. Let me share my screen. Okay, so here is the agenda for today. Understand the elements and principles of design. What I'm having you do is draw them so that you can demonstrate that you understand what those elements and principles are. If you need to see the presentation again, it's right here. And then what we're doing is I want you to list the definitions that I have here. So you'll click on the design notes, and this was from that video that we watched. And what I want you to do is every time there is a bolded term or word, I want, well, except for this one, every visual medium, we don't have to worry about that. I want you to write down the bolded word, and then you're going to write the definition. So starting right here at line, you're going to write the word line on your piece of paper, and then you're going to write the definition, which is a line is a shape that connects 2 or more points. Just because that's what we would go over in class, I would have you write down their definitions. Let me make sure everything, yeah, so I'm only gonna have you write the definitions, and I'll update this for the elements and principles of design. So let me go to our calendar and make that clear, because it does look like there's more bolded terms there. Okay. Activity, only define the elements and principles of design, and that would be line, shape, form, texture. What do they have on there? I'm gonna do etc. so I don't waste your time you watching me type. So only define the elements and principles of design, and they should have all of them on the notes here. Yeah, that's it. Okay. And so where you're gonna turn in these items are right here. So the fundamentals of design notes, I have the link to the assignment right here. And then your elements and principles drawing, where you draw the examples, go right here. I'm just gonna update that. Okay. Anyone have any questions about that? So you only have 2 assignments, defining the elements and principles, and then drawing the examples. If you're feeling extra adventurous, the other assignment or activity that I was gonna have us do was actually the last page or the last slide on our PowerPoint, where you draw a flamingo, and people have drawn flamingos many ways, but I was actually gonna have you draw a flamingo using shapes, and then you can fill it in if you want to with patterns or texture. But in the past, I've had people draw flamingos using nothing but half circles and lines. You don't have to do this. I just thought it was really fun. And then here's a line for a wavy neck, another line, and then a head, and then a beak, and then a half circle for its eyes, and then a half circle for its wings. And then you can go in, and I know this isn't really a good drawing, you can go in and make some patterns and some feathers for texture. And then for proportion, you might have like a really big flamingo next to a really little flamingo. And that was going to be the activity that we start class with tomorrow. But if you're like, oh, I really want to do it today, you can do it today too. But what you're doing with this is you're actually also going to draw a line to it and say, list each element and principle that you used in the drawing. So shape, proportion, that's a line. This is a pattern. And then you could have a really thick line here. And this could be contrast. You could make her eye really dark, and that would be emphasis. So that's what the next activity is going to be, in case you were curious, but that's how we're going to start class tomorrow. Any questions about that? Once again, you don't have to do this one today, but we will do it tomorrow. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna let you all go ahead and work. I'm gonna close out Zoom, and if you do have any questions, you can pop back onto Zoom. I'll have it open for like 10 minutes. Otherwise, email me if you need any help. Okay, and I'm going to go to the chat to see if there's anything there. Sorry, I didn't see the chat until now. Do the notes have all the principles and elements on it? That is a good question. I thought they did, but let me check. So the notes go onto one assignment and the drawings go on the other. Yes. But if you did submit them both to one assignment, just email me and you don't have to resubmit. I'll just give you credit on both. What we're doing is taking the notes right now. Yeah, so yep, you can go ahead and start taking those notes. Essentially what you're doing is just defining the elements and principles of design. And what I'm gonna say is, if those definitions aren't clear enough on the notes that I gave you, you can just Google them. So I would just Google, no, it's not different from what we did yesterday. I just wanted to wrap it up because I didn't get through all of them. So what you can do is if you don't want to use the notes that I gave you, you can just go onto Google and type in define elements and principles of design and just get a definition for each one of them. And that'll work too. Okay. Yep. All right, so where's the PowerPoint again? Let me show you right now. So if you click on the calendar for today, so my calendar is kind of crazy, sorry. Graphic design, day 3, the presentation is here, the design notes are here. You don't have to use the design notes, everyone, just because it also has, I realized it has other bolded terms too. What you could do is just find the definitions on Google for the elements and principles of design, and that works for me too. And then homework, finish the elements and principles drawing, and then I'm gonna actually edit this to say that the homework should also be turning in your elements and principles definition. I need to reword that better so it's more clear. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I think I'm going to just delete this and say, define all of the elements and principles of design and turn in below. Because I realized that I'll make an assignment and make this hyperlink. I realized that note thing that I have right here is probably not the most clear. So yeah, so there's 2 separate assignments right there. Okay, let me look at the chat. Yes, yep, the PowerPoint's right there. Okay, and then I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna update that assignment for you so that in about 2 minutes you can turn it in. Let me open up another tab. Okay, so if you don't have any other questions, you can hop off Zoom. And so Gracie, the definitions for the elements and principles, I'm just gonna have you go onto Google and do a web quest. They call it a web quest when you search for the definitions. So I would just type into Google, what is the definition of line? What is the definition of contrast? What is the definition of rhythm, pattern, emphasis? Yeah. Sorry, I should have made that way clearer. Teaching online, like being in person, like is so much more clear than writing out instructions, but I know I need to get way better at that. So I apologize if it wasn't clear. I'm going to fix that. Okay. Zach Marshall, he just hopped in. Zach, I'm actually going to close the Zoom. So if you want to go back in about 10 minutes to rewatch it, and then look at our calendar, I have all the assignments listed there. Okay. Yep. So if you don't have any other questions, you can hop off Zoom. Otherwise, I'll just hang out here working on my computer. And if you ever have a question, unmute yourself and you can just ask me. Okay. All right. It's good to see you all. Like, see you. Bye.
Wait, so you hear me? You want definitions of design notes, and then what else do you want? Got it.
Sebastian, are you asking a question?
Yeah.
I can't hear you though. I don't think you're muted.
No? I?
You froze. Sorry, man. You might have to just like text or go in the chat box. Bye. Yeah. Sorry, it froze. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Nope, I still can't hear you. You can also, if it still doesn't work, you can go to the school and get a new Chromebook too. Just because, you know, you might have teachers that ask you to go into small groups and chat and stuff. Oh, you did, and it still doesn't work? Oh, that's annoying. I'm so sorry. Well, I don't know, maybe reset the Chromebook. And if it still doesn't work, I would say that they definitely need to give you a new one. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Technology. Bye. All right, Leo, Gracie, Jennifer. I'm just going to turn off my video because I'm sure you probably don't want to watch me typing and checking emails. But if you do have a question, then you can unmute yourself or go in the chat box. But if I'm working, I can't see the chat box go off, so you might have to unmute yourself. When would be the last day of homework? So I'll give like a week grace period after the original due date, but after that, I don't think I will grade. I don't have an exact answer for how late we can accept late work, but just go off of the due dates that I have. You can click on the assignment and it should give you the due date. You can definitely go on to the calendar itself. And let me show you really quick what that looks like. Because there's two different icons on the calendar. And so that might help you. Let me open up a tab. My computer is at 6%. That's so funny. And Canvas. I don't want to close down my other tab of Canvas because I'm about to finish editing something on that. So I'll just open another tab. Okay, so if you go to the calendar right here, and this is for all of your other teachers too, if they do use the calendar or if they put due dates on their assignments, it will show up on your calendar. So for example, if you see right, let me zoom in for you. Any calendar icon means that it's like an event or a lesson. And whenever you see this icon, that is a piece of paper and a pencil, that means it's an assignment that's due that day. So hopefully that clarifies, and that will always show you when something's due. But if your teacher doesn't put a due date on assignments, then you just need to make sure that you read whatever due date they have, because sometimes teachers don't use this. So you have to be careful. Hopefully that answered your question. And it looks like Sebastian is hopping back in. Hey, did it work? It looks like you're muted.
No?
Nope, I can't hear you. I know. I would definitely, you can always drop by the school during the school week. And there's always someone there who is able to get you a new Chromebook. So if it continues to be a problem, I would definitely get a
Okay.
new one.
Yeah, stuff, no?
Nothing. Yeah, I know. I know, it's kind of lame, right? Yeah. But I mean, you could also just keep your Chromebook and just let your teachers know that your microphone doesn't work. But if they do require you to do like group work where you talk in small groups, you might need to get a new Chromebook. Yeah, sorry. Maybe we could learn sign language. Oh, my volume? So Gracie can hear you, but I can't.
No?
Now I can hear you. Oh my God, what happened? Maybe it was me. Okay, it was me, not you. Thanks, Gracie. That's so weird.
So what's our homework really? So we have, definitions of design notes, which is just like balance, all definitions and stuff, right? Or is
Yeah.
that a lot? Okay. And then number 2 is what?
The drawings. So I want you to draw examples of each.
So if I already drew like pattern and other stuff, do you want me to resubmit the assignment there again?
Nope, that's good. The notes though, where you write down the definition, like word for word, that is the other assignment that I'm about to make a hyperlink for on the calendar.
Okay.
Yeah.
But for just so I get this clear, so for the drawings, I've done color and all the rest, except for the ones like, I don't know what the other ones are called, but.
The ones that I covered today.
Yeah.
The principles. Yeah.
Okay, and those are same, resubmit it with those two?
Yeah, so sorry. If you've done it all and you've submitted, but you didn't do the ones that we did today, then yes, finish it all up and resubmit that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad it works. That was my bad. Sorry. Bye. Leo and Gracie, how are you doing? I know your videos are off and you're muted, but okay, if you need anything, unmute yourself. Okay, good, Gracie. Yeah, and let me know, but I'll keep the Zoom going in case you need me. All right, bye.